Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this special edition of the CenterCourt NBA podcast. We're just going to talk about the big news today coming out of the NBA. Derek Fisher, New York Knicks, got canned. It's been a rough day for everybody. Derek Fisher got fired. I just got done dropping a container of milk on me because I dropped a fork and thought I could juggle the fork and the container of milk at the same time. I was open. And first comes a shove, it didn't work out, and I got milk on me in front of like 40 people. So we're both having very rough days. At least I didn't get fired from anything. Burger, thoughts? And of course, my dad wants to call me right now in the middle of this goddamn podcast.
All I have to say, it's about time. Now, I understand it's only a second year and all, but this team there's something wrong. I mean, last year he gets a free pass because it's his first year as a head coach. He's coming out of playing. But you're seeing a lot of the same Knicks from last year this year. They've gotten better, but you still see a lot of the same problems and a lot of the same inconsistencies that cost them a terrible record last year. And this is why they've dropped 9 of their last 10 games and 5 in a row.
The only thing I can say in Derek Fisher's defense is they're on pace to beat what they were. I mean, they were only projected to win like 29 games this year by ESPN.
I guess you
and
got
and they have 23. So
I guess we got a little spoiled early in the year by how well they came out and played, by how well Porzingis played. Get a little spoiled, but you do have a lot of the starting lineup has, besides Porzingis, it's all veteran guys that have been in the league before. And the only thing you can say, though, is that they've come out the last couple games so slow with no effort. I mean, they've gotten down the last 4 games by double digits in the first quarter. You can't win games like that consistently in the NBA when you're down 10 points early on in the game and you're having to fight back for the next 40 minutes.
They've had a lot of injuries this last stretch here. Melo was down for a little bit with the knee. Calderon was out. Porzingis just got back from that respiratory injury or what illness, whatever it was. Lance Thomas had a protocol. Right? He had a bad knee too.
Yeah.
Well, now he had a bad knee a week ago or whatever. So they have been banged up, but I never thought Derek Fisher was going to be successful. To be honest, at least not that he just retired and he just went right into the coaching seat. I think he's not Jason Kidd and Jason Kidd's struggling this year for the first time, but I didn't like the move of Derek Fisher to begin with. I was hoping they were going to fire the triangle with Derek Fisher, but clearly that's not what's going to happen. Likely they're going to bring in either Luke Walton or Brian Shaw, who have also been around the triangle before. Even though I personally would love to see Mark Jackson coach the Knicks. I think he'd be a spark plug to lead that team. I saw something today about apparently that Thibodeau would crawl to MSG for the opportunity to coach there. I mean, he would give them defense that they lack, but I don't see Thibs in New York. I just don't think that's the right fit.
That's the one thing. If you get him, you're going to have to scrap the triangle offense because I don't think he's going to run it.
No, he won't. Same with Mark Jackson. Those guys are too. They have their own styles. They're not going to want to run a triangle. Luke Walton and Brian Shaw, maybe they will.
Maybe. I think you might see them with Rambis stick with it because that's what they've been coaching this year and just stick the season out with the triangle. But I hope he learned his lesson. Like, let's not bring in one of your disciples that's going to run this. You can't run it anymore, at least not with the pieces you have right now. And when you watch this team play pick and roll basketball and they spread the floor when they drive, they play well. When they get stuck in that triangle, when the first pass doesn't work in that triangle offense, they look lost. And it's stand around, Melo, bail us out, please. And that's what it's come down to a lot of the time now.
They looked really good their last couple of games, and they had Melo and Porzingis in the pick and roll. They looked really solid. They don't run that a lot, but it was pretty effective down the stretch against Detroit. Go ahead.
When they let Melo bring the ball up on it, he's been playing this is probably his best all-around season he's ever had in the league. Like, all around, he's got a complete game this year, and they're letting him bring the ball up the floor, orchestrate the offense, and he's doing it well. He's an underrated passer because we haven't seen him pass before, but he makes some incredible passes that you're looking and you're like, I can't believe number 7, that's the number 7 right there, throwing that pass.
I know that Phil hinted at it today. I don't know if you watched his press conference.
I saw a little bit of it.
I watched. I felt. I don't know. That's probably the first press conference I've watched in a while. But he hinted that Rondo is still the guy that he wants running point guard for this team. He made a comment about how he can't really. He goes and he said some. They said, "What about Rondo saying he doesn't want to run the triangle?" And he said, and he said it's laughable. Anybody can run the triangle. So it makes him sound like that he still plans on getting Rondo to run this team as a point guard.
He can try, but he's going to have to concede a little bit because Rondo's not going to come if you're going to run the triangle. I can see why Phil wants him because in the triangle you need a pure point guard. You don't need one of those dynamic scoring guards, which is another one of the Knicks' problems. Most of the most successful teams in the NBA right now have that dynamic scoring guard that can handle the ball. He can score. He can dish. Don't get me Calderon can score, but he's not going to do what Steph Curry can do, what Russell Westbrook can do, by not even close. So, I mean, that's one of the big problems right now is they don't have a ball handling guard that can get to the basket, make consistent jump shots, get his own shot.
I mean, Kurt Rambis made a bold statement today saying that he plans on making that the expectation is to make the playoffs in his eyes. And I mean, that is bold because he's not going to be the coach next year, I don't think, no matter what he does this season. But unless they make a move at the deadline, this team is not making the playoffs. Unless they make a move.
It's a bold statement, but I think any team, as bad as you are, your hope at the beginning of the year is to make the playoffs. So I think he's just being hopeful, trying to give the team a little bit of energy. But I think what really got him in the hole is when they're in the middle of this slide a couple of weeks ago, Aflalo's guaranteeing a playoff spot. Like you guys haven't been a game over 500 since you were 7-6. Like you just got back to 500. Let's work on keep playing good basketball. Let's not make these stupid predictions. And you go and lose 9 out of 10, 5 in a row, and now you're 23-30.
With your only win being against the plagued Phoenix Suns, who have nobody on their roster.
Yeah, I mean, and now you're 23-30 or 23-31 right now, and you're probably not even close to a playoff spot. I don't know exactly what the standings are right now, but I'm pretty sure the last spot in the East is at least 500 at this point, and maybe 2 games over.
You know who the last spot is?
The Pacers.
Yeah, and the Pacers. The Pacers are playing pretty awful at this point, but
they're going to have to go on a run like their losing streak. They're going to have to go through a stretch where they win 8 out of 9, 8 out of 10, or something like that to even get themselves back even within.
But you got to think too, like you got the teams like the Pistons that are in the playoff spot picture right now, Celtics and Pacers. They're like the bottom tier, and you have got teams like Charlotte. That's the 9 seed hanging around, and the Knicks aren't better than Charlotte on paper. And if Charlotte's healthy, there's no way the Knicks catch them.
No, they have to. You're hoping you don't want to see it, but you're hoping one of their key guys might get hurt. 1 or 2 of their key guys gets hurt, picks up a knock here and there. They go through a stretch. They go through a stretch where they lose, 9 out of 10, like the Knicks are doing right now, and the Knicks have to. They can't just hope that. They got to go out and do something about it. Their fate's in their own hands right now. They got to go out and win some basketball games. And the way they're playing right now, they're not going to do it. They have not played a complete game. Last night they played 1 good quarter. They were lucky to even be in that game. They only played 1 good quarter the whole game, and they were in it down the stretch. They got blown out in the first half, came out firing that third quarter, and then the fourth quarter was the same as the first 2 quarters. They came out flat. I think their legs were gone after that third quarter. They made a huge run, and the thing is, they had the momentum. Porzingis was on fire, and they stopped giving him the ball. And this is the one thing I think where Derek Fisher was culpable of all this is where his rotations and his decision making down the stretch. I don't know what this guy's thinking. Porzingis was absolutely on fire. He scored 7 straight. He wasn't missing. He was hitting turnaround fadeaways. He was hitting spot up threes. And then you don't give him the ball. I mean, honestly, some part of that is the players on the floor have to give him the ball. But you got to realize this dude's on fire. He's 7'3". Like he's 7'3". You give him the ball. When he's feeling it, he could shoot over anybody he wants. and then they don't go to him down the stretch. The only guy that does anything in the fourth quarter is Derek Williams, and Derek Williams has been great for us, but is he the guy you really want to be your closer down the stretch? And then when Derek Williams catches fire, he pulls him out of the game. And then Sasha Vujacic gets minutes early on in the game. They're down by double digits. He puts in O'Quinn and Serafin and Vujacic and Amundsen early in the game. Is that really your answer when you're down by 10? Were you conceding the game already? The rotations and decision making.
Sasha has played fairly well down this stretch. I mean, the team has struggled, but he's been fairly consistent and fairly productive. I know in the Warriors game he came in, the game was over, but he's made like 5 or 6 buckets. And I think this streak hurts them because a lot of their guys lost trade value. Yeah. In my opinion, like I don't know who you didn't have much to trade anyways, but now I feel like you got even less because guys like Afalo are shooting god awful for the most part. And you don't want to move Thomas. You don't want to move Williams, I don't think. You don't, obviously, Porzingis and Melo are off limits. I mean, even though I hear every day rumors about Melo getting traded to an actual contender, but Melo ain't leaving New York. I don't see that anytime soon.
I don't see it, but, there's a lot of rumors out there. If there's any truth to them, I think right now, the way Melo's playing, he's fitting into Phil's system. Him and KP have a really good, flow together. They got good rhythm. They got good chemistry. So I don't think you want to break that up. And, some of these guys like Lance Thomas probably had the biggest trade value for them the way he was coming off the bench. Now he's hurt. He's been struggling. He was struggling even before he got hurt. Derek Williams, is he a bust? Like, from the draft perspective, he's played well this year, but if he goes to a different team where he's not going to see that amount of minutes and the freedom, will he be a factor? Mm-hmm. So
probably not. This team just lacks a point guard.
And right now you're on the outside looking in. So who's really going to want to give up a piece to you? And are you really in the position right now to try to make a trade to get yourself something when you're this far back out of the race?
Do they have a first round pick this year coming up?
They do not.
All right, so I can't even say let's just take it easy and hope for a draft pick, man.
No, that's why you can't. So it's kind of, are you in the, should we go for it and try to make a move and hopefully we slide in? But if that's the case, you're looking at a 7-8 seed if you're hoping just to slide in.
And you're not going to do anything.
And do you really want to play the Cavs or the Raptors for that matter? Do you really want to play one of those two teams and get a swept? No, and trade away a good piece that's fitting in right now?
I think if this stretch wasn't so bad, maybe if they went like 5-5 these last 10 games instead of 1 for 10, I think 1 for 9. I think it would have changed things, if they had like a subpar stretch going into the deadline.
Yeah,
but
500 for this team is acceptable.
Right, but I'm saying like this last stretch here that pretty much this. I think this stretch is why Fisher got fired. If they had maintained, then he would have been fine. He's gone. I mean, who do you think they're going to bring in? You think Shaw or Walton, or are you thinking Jackson? I think Jackson's a sleeper in this, but that means Phil's got to want to go away from the triangle.
The way Phil's running the team, and a couple of reports I heard today, is that if the team responds and finishes the season well, Rambis might stay because Rambis is a Phil disciple. He's a guy that's played for him, knows the system. Phil likes him. So that's also an outside chance. I don't really see it going forward. I think he's going to want to bring in one of these guys that's one of the names that are associated with being a head coach. But I don't want to see some guys going to bring in to run the triangle. I think they need to scrap that, and you got some pieces there that can play. So I just don't think the triangle is the right system to have guys that don't exactly have the most talent but are going to give you everything they got. I don't think this is the right system. I mean, again, you don't have a Shaq, you don't have a Kobe, you don't Calderon's not even not even a Derek Fisher. I mean, you don't have Michael, Scotty, you don't have any of these guys.
Fair enough. I mean, I guess we'll see how it goes. I'm hoping they do something. I'm hoping. I just started watching the Knicks again and getting back into the New York state of mind for basketball. But I think that I'm the bad link because the minute I started watching, they haven't won a game. So I should just give it up.
It's one of those things where I think their core right now, they got a good, solid core. I think it's not going to win you a championship. It's not, but I think the core right now is good enough to make the playoffs. They just, I think what they're really lacking right now is, besides a point guard, is a veteran leader to come off the bench and help that second unit. Now, a lot of times, especially early in the season, that second unit was clicking. The second unit was carrying momentum, getting them back into games, taking leads that they had and making it a blowout. Early in games, they were really clicking together. And now that second unit is just kind of slowed down. I think that's where you need a veteran. I don't think you're going to find a guy. Most teams can't find a guy like Jamal Crawford, but you need a solid six-man. It's maybe a veteran to give them some stability, some leadership off the bench to help run that second unit, or even to come in and help the first unit out a little bit when they're struggling.
Yeah. We'll see if they make any moves. That pretty much wraps up this special edition of the Center Court podcast. Just want to give you guys our thoughts on the Derek Fisher firing. As you can both tell, we're both pretty much for the move. Hopefully the Knicks, maybe they spark something. But, you never know in New York or with the Knicks. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. We'll be on YouTube after this. If you missed us live, we'll be here Saturday for the live normal edition at 11:30 a.m. Thanks, guys. Have a good night. Burger, pleasure as always.